Hello students, welcome to Arshid Bhutta official YouTube channel. The topic which I'm going to discuss today, that is payback period. This topic is relevant for the students those are preparing for CMA Part 2 exam, those are preparing for ACCA paper F9 exam, and for paper F2 exams, as well as the students those are opting corporate finance or financial management paper in their university exams. This topic is suitable for those guys. Please like and subscribe my YouTube channel. And again, I'm warm welcoming you all guys. So let's start with the today's topic agenda, which is we are supposed to discuss what is payback period. Then we will talk about types of different projects. Then we'll talk about what is the decision rule about payback period. Then different types of payback period. Then we will talk about advantages of payback period and disadvantages of payback period. So what's the payback period? It is one of the methods those are used to check the financial viability, whether the project which they are supposed to opt that is financially viable or not. And this is one of the easiest and the most commonly used by a layman person methodology. So it is a time period. It is a time period in which the initial investment is recovered. Very simple definition. Like, what is meaning by this? If you want to open a one uh, retail store, grocery store, and let's assume your total investment for that store is say $1,000. So how long it will take you to recover that $1,000? That is called payback period. Okay. So what are the types of projects? The first one is called mutually exclusive projects. It means you have different options to start the business or to start the project. And out of those options, if you can choose only one option, that is called mutually exclusive projects. When you can opt only one project from different projects, it is called mutually exclusive projects. So you have four options. You can open grocery store, you can start your online business, you can open your college, you can establish a hospital. Out of these four options, if you can choose only one option, then it is called mutually exclusive projects. Then we have discussion about non-mutually exclusive projects, when you can opt more than one projects. Like from those four projects, you can opt two projects, three projects, even though you can opt four projects. That is called non-mutually exclusive projects. Here, you don't have any condition to opt only one project. So this is the difference between mutually exclusive projects and non-mutually exclusive projects. In all capital budgeting techniques, we are supposed to be familiar with this terminology, because the decision rule is different for mutually exclusive projects and non-mutually exclusive projects. So what is the decision rule for mutually exclusive projects if you want to use payback technique? Opt the project with lowest payback period. Like you have four projects, A, B, C, and D. A have 2 years, C has 1.5 year, D has 4 years, and C has 4 years, and D has 3 years. Now lowest is with B. So you will opt project B. When you have mutually exclusive projects, you will go with the lowest payback period. Then non-mutually exclusive projects, opt all the projects, opt all the projects, those have equal or lowest payback period than targeted payback period. So what is targeted payback period? It is a payback period which is decided by whom? By management of the organization. So it is discretionary authority of the think tanks of the organization that what payback period they will decide. So any project whose payback period is equal or lower than targeted payback period, that will be opted. For instance, again, I will repeat the same example, A, B, C, and D. It's 2 years, it's 1.5 years, it's 4 years, and it's 3 years. Let's assume your targeted payback period is 2.5 years. So you will opt project A because it's lower than your targeted payback period. You will opt project B because its payback period is also lower. But you will not opt C and D because their payback period is greater than your targeted payback period. Okay. Uh, I believe you may have understand this concept. Then types of payback period. There are two types of payback period. One is basic payback period. It is a payback period in which future cash flows are used without discounting. What is meaning of this? Like you will use the same values of cash flows of future time period. You will not use their present values. So this is called basic payback period. Then we have discounted payback period. Over there, we will discount future cash flows. We will discount. It means we will use the present values of future cash flows. So what is the difference between basic payback period and discounted payback period? Under basic payback period, we are using cash flows of future time period as it is. But under discounted payback period, what we are going to do, we are calculating their present values and then we will use those present values. Now, how to calculate basic payback period? There are different possibilities. So I'm going to discuss case one. In case one, we have cash flows in the form of annuity. In my lecture about time value of money, I have explained what is annuity. What is the formula? Payback period is calculated by using this formula, initial investment divided by annual cash flow. Okay. Now, this is the example. Like we have 4 years project life. Year zero, we have initial investment of 100,000, which is outflow. Keep in mind, always cash outflows will be shown in brackets and cash inflows will be shown without brackets. At year zero, we have cash outflow. Year one, year two, year three, year four, we have net cash inflows. Keep in mind, again, I'm repeating that thing that here, these are the very basic examples where for the future time periods, we have assumed that these are our net cash flows. In practice, you may have cash inflows and cash flows outflows during your future time period, which we will discuss later on. In our complex cases, under here, we are assuming that we have future net cash flows, that is in the form of annuity. I discussed in my lecture about time value of money, what is annuity? Again, I'm just repeating same cash flows for certain time period. In that case, payback period is calculated just initial investment, which is $100,000 at year zero. We use that as being a numerator. Then divided by annual cash flow, which is 40,000. So our payback period is equal to 2.5 years. This is very easiest example where we have net cash flows in the form of annuity, and we will choose the payback period formula. But there are other possibilities. In this example, case 2, where we have uneven cash flows for the future time period. This is the example. Year 0, cash outflow of 100,000. In year 1, cash inflow 40,000. In year 2, 30,000. In year 3, 30,000. And in year 4, 60,000. Here we will add another column which is called cumulative cash flows, which is the sum of the cash flows of the previous period. So at year 0, it is 100,000. At year 1, it is negative 60,000, because 100,000 negative for year 0 and 40,000 positive of year 1. So in net, negative 60,000. In year 2, 30,000 positive again. So net, negative 30,000. And in year 3, 30,000 again, net 0. And in year 4, 60,000 and net cumulative cash flow 60,000. In that case, if there would be a 0 figure in cumulative cash flows column, like here this is, you will opt the respective year figure as your payback period. So your payback period is 3 years. Okay, but this will happen only when you have 0 figure in your cumulative cash flows. Their respective year would be your payback period. Okay, now this is another example of case 2, uneven cash flows, where we don't have 0 figure in our cumulative cash flows column. I just changed the cash flows, like in year 3 I have changed it 40,000, and in year 4 it's 50,000. Now till year 2 you have negative 30,000. Once you will move towards year 3, it would be 10,000 positive, because 30,000 negative previous balance and 40,000 of current period, then negative is 10,000. And for year 4, 50,000 positive you added, and in net again you are 60,000, but you don't have 0 figure. In that case, your payback period would be in between year 2 and year 3. So your payback period is 2 years. And what you will do, last negative figure of cumulative cash flows, which is 30,000, you will take as a numerator, and your denominator would be the next year's cash flow figure, which is 40,000 times. If you want to calculate in months, you will multiply with 12. If you want to calculate in days, you will multiply with 365. If you want to calculate in weeks, you will multiply with 52. It's up to you. If you want to calculate in years, then you will not multiply anything. It would be 2 years and point something like that. But I have opted months option. So our payback period is 2 years and 9 months. So 30,000 divided by 40,000 times 12 is equal to 9. So your payback period is 2 years and 9 months. Okay. Then how to calculate discounted payback period? Example. Same example which we have used in the previous discussion for basic payback period, I have opted. But keep in mind, to calculate your discounted payback period, you must have cost of capital in your question. Otherwise, you would not be able to calculate discounted payback period. I'm assuming in this example, it's 10%. Okay. So when you are using discounted payback period, you must have the figure of cost of capital, which is also called interest rate, required rate of return, opportunity cost, hurdle rate. These are the different terminologies used for cost of capital during your exam. So 10%, I am assuming for this question, what I did, I just uh, use the discount factor of the different years. We know the formula is 1 plus R per minus N. So for year 0, always keep in mind your discount factor will be 1. For year 1, we did the calculation 1.10 x raised power minus 1. For year 2, 1.10 x raised power minus 2, 1.10 x raised power minus 3, and 1.10 x raised power minus 4. So these are the figures which we have calculated. I elaborated in my time value of money lecture that you can calculate by using this formula, as well as you can use the table to calculate this discount factor. I just multiplied cash flows with discount factors, calculated this present value. Then I used cumulative present values, which is the sum of the present values of the all previous periods. So year 0, it is 100,000. In year 1, 100,000 negative, 36,360 positive, so net 63,640 negative. In year 2, 24,780, 38,860 negative. Net figure of cumulative cash flow in year 3, again 30,040 positive present value, and cumulative present value figure is net 8,820, and then 34,150 positive present value of year 4. So your net figure is 25,330 negative. Now again, we will use the same trick, like our payback period is 3 years, and then we will use the last negative figure of cumulative present value and next year present value figure. This would be numerator, cumulative present value, not last negative figure, and next year figure would be denominator. So payback period is 3 years, and 8820 divided by 34,001. Sorry, this is typo mistake, 34,000 and 150. It must be here, times 12. So it is 3 years and 3 months approximate figure. Now keep in mind one thing, if you are using the same cash flows, to calculate your basic payback period and discounted payback period, in that case, your basic payback period would always be lower than your discounted payback period, and discounted payback period will always be greater. Like I have used the same data which I have used in the last example. So this is 3 years and 3 months, and this is 2 years and 9 months. Because why this happened? Because present values of cash flows will always be lower than the cash flows value. Okay, so this is one important thing. Some theoretical questions, examiner may ask you whether this, if you have same data, whether your discounted payback period is greater or lower than your basic payback period or not. So answer is discounted payback period will always be greater than basic payback period, and basic payback period will always be lower than discounted payback period. Okay. Then what are the advantages of payback period? It is easy to calculate and understand. Very simple. Common man can use this exact method. I remembered that I was like in my childhood in my village, one guy was doing the business of dairy farming. So one day I was just talking with that guy. He was saying that I'm measuring the performance of business in how long time period I am recovering my initial investment. This is very easy to calculate and understand and commonly used by a layman. It is based on cash flows rather than profits. Those can be manipulated through creative accounting. Yes, those can be manipulated through creative accounting. It favors quick returns rather than returns in later time period, because you are focusing to recover your initial investment. So it is always, as our decision rule, we are going to opt the project with lowest payback period. So it is always favoring quick returns rather than returns in a later time period. Let's look one thing where there is an advocacy about payback period, that once your cash flows are delaying, your return is delaying from earlier time period, there is a possibility of uncontrolled factors. Those will impact on your returns. So in this way, quick returns is much better than the returns in the later time period. It is suitable in uncertain situations because it favors the project with lowest time period. Yes, when you have uncertainty, it means the estimate about your future cash flows is uncertain, and you have dynamic environment in which the happening of uncertain events is too much. So you are going to off the project where you can cover your initial investment as earlier as possible. Now, on disadvantages side, it ignores the overall life of the project. Let's assume one project life is 12 year and one project life is 6 year, and project with 6 years life have lower payback period than the project with 12 years life. In that case, we are supposed to opt the project with lowest payback period. It means we are ignoring the overall life. It means overall return, there is a possibility that overall return for project B may be more than project A. So it ignores the overall life. This is the major drawback of this payback period. It ignores the timing of cash flow only for basic payback period, because we are not using the discounting figures. We are using what? Future cash flows as it is. It is absolute measure cannot be used for comparability purpose. I believe you people are familiar with absolute and relative measures. Relative measure is always in a percentage term, and absolute figure is always absolute figure. Absolute figure cannot be used for comparability purpose. So it is not suitable for comparison. Then it ignores the volume of the project. As I discussed earlier, that there is a possibility that project A's initial investment is 100,000 and cash flows are say 40,000, 40,000 and 20,000, 40,000. So our payback period is 2.5 years. This is outflow and these are inflows. Project B has 1 million initial investment, 500,000, 100,000, 100,000 and 500,000. It means this project payback period is more than 3 years. But overall, the volume of the project is too much bigger. As per the rule of payback period, we are going to opt this project, project A. We are ignoring the volume of project 2. This is another drawback of payback period. It is very subjective. Like this is a drawback which is used for, because it depends upon how much you are accurate in estimating your cash flows, how much your budget is accurate. All these cash flows are assumptions. So how much assumptions are accurate, its success will also depend on that things. That's why I discuss with you that it is very subjective. Okay. I hope you may have enjoyed my lecture. Thank you very much for your time. See you with next topic, which is MPV, in my next lecture. Thank you very much.